friends, thanks for joining me for Junk Journal July. Because I have so much going on in the month of July, I'm only posting one video per week for my Junk Journal July entries. However, that being said, I'm having just as much fun doing it. I love this collaboration. So today's video is going to be days 8 through 13. My videos will be posted on Saturdays, and if you've missed the other two, I'll try to remember to link them in the description box. Friends, day 8 is observe, and I thought that was interesting, and I thought it would definitely be challenging. So I had to really think about this one. I figured I'd go ahead and start by pulling some papers that have purple in them because the page next to this has a lot of purple in it. And I saw this lady and I thought, I think I'll definitely use her in this collage. And of course you can see I started with a map in the background. So I went through my stash and I was looking through some stuff and I found some stickers and there was a train, and as you can see this one with like a stamp, and the stamp is like what you would get on a passport. So this made me think of travel, and I was thinking to myself, when I travel, I'm very observant because I don't want to miss anything. So that's why I went with this theme, the travel theme, because, you know, I feel very observant when I travel. And then in a magazine, I saw this that says Deja Vu, and I thought that was absolutely perfect. And it made me think about when I went to Italy and I was looking out my hotel window and I had a view. So let's move on now to the next day. So day 9 is scraps. And so I figured what I would do is try to use the scraps that were literally on my desk from some recent projects. So you can see I started with a piece of music paper that I had recently used in a beach theme journal that I created. Also on my desk was this brown sort of mappish piece of paper. So I thought I'd go ahead and tear that and then glue that to the page. Still not sure where I'm going with this, but I'm using all the scraps on my desk. Recently I've been tearing some pages out of my Coastal Living magazine, and this one, you can see there was a cut there. I had used the other side for something, so I consider this to be a scrap as well. So I'm cutting out this boat. I figured I would challenge myself to see what I could do with this. I've decided that before I stick this down on the page, I want to add one more piece of the map looking paper. I'm also going to add the anchor, so now I feel like I'm going for more of a nautical theme for this page. Since I've settled on a nautical theme, I went ahead and I grabbed a few more images from my Coastal Living magazine. This right here that I just put on are 2 sailboats, so definitely sticking with the nautical theme. And then you can see on the right, I cut out a lantern. It's red, it matches one of the sailboats, so I figure I'll just put that on there. You know, maybe if you're on a sailboat, maybe you don't have electricity. I don't know. I just decided I like that red lantern. So anyway, now it's time for me to glue the boat down to the page. My friend Carol at Recrafted by Carol sent me these 2 pirates, and they're really fun and really whimsical. So I think they deserve to be on this page as well. I've got a stamp here. This was also on my desk. The stamp has boats on it, which I think is perfect. So I'm adding that to the collage as well. I do feel like the lantern is a little bit oddly placed, but you know what? I was dealing with scraps. I stuck to a nautical theme, so I think I'm okay with it. It's not my best collage, but it's not a competition either. Day 10 is thread, and I really enjoyed putting this together. I actually was using some scraps for this one as well. And so I'm gluing these down just to make a base for the page. And as you can see, this is some scrapbook paper that has a sewing theme, which I thought was great with the prompt thread. So basically what I'm going to do is try to cover all of the a white space with pieces of the sewing scrapbook paper. Coming up, I somewhere in my stash had found this little hoop. It's like an embroidery hoop, so I figured I'd go ahead and attach that to the page as well. Now I am grabbing some, it's not thread, it's thicker than that, but we're going to use it like it is thread. I think to use actual thread on here would be a little bit too thin and it wouldn't show up very much. So I'm using, maybe it's like twine, but it's thin twine. So at any rate, now I've grabbed a vintage magazine. I found this cute rooster that's been, it's like quilted. It's part of a quilt, I believe. And so I thought I'd go ahead and add that to the center of this page. I have some scraps of blue paper, and I'm going to use those to frame our rooster. I fussy cut out a sewing machine and a pin cushion, and I'm putting that on the corners of the framed rooster, and now I'm just drawing in some little scroll shapes. And here is day 10. I'm really happy with how this turned out. So coming up is day 11. Day 11 is stamps, and this was another fun one. As usual, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, but I had this scrap piece of paper, and actually this one too, and they both were a piece of an envelope, and it sort of it reminds me of water. So I had more scraps. I had this mermaid paper. This was floating around on my desk. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and go with like a beachy feel for this one. So I've got the envelope pieces and I've got the mermaid pieces. And you saw me ink around the edge of the first one, and I actually forgot to ink around the edge of this one, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. I've got a piece of vintage map that I'm going to go ahead and put on the bottom of the page. I have to tell you, I'm feeling really good about using up these scraps. So here's another one that I'm using. This is a picture of some seagulls flying in the air. The prompt is stamps, so I'm going to use this mermaid stamp, and you're going to see I'm going to go ahead and press it down on this piece of envelope that I have. And then once I pull this up, I'm going to go ahead and tear around the mermaid, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and glue down on my collage page. Before I glue down this beautiful mermaid, I want to go ahead and I think make the page a little bit more cohesive, and I feel like a lot of times I can do that with some stenciling. Also, I've got a piece of blue fabric, and this was literally just laying on my desk. So, you know, when I put these pages together, when I have time or I feel inspired to do so, I like to add all sorts of layers. And that fabric just adds another layer. And then down on the bottom left, I added a cluster that I had made about a month or so ago. It says yay on it, but the colors are absolutely perfect for this page. I have mounted the mermaid, and now I'm going to go ahead and prepare these vintage stamps that I have because, believe it or not, they have a nautical theme. There are some boats on there, so this is perfect. I need to correct myself. I thought I had mounted the mermaid, but not yet. I want to make sure I have an idea of where I want to place everything before I add glue. I have more of that scrap fabric, so I took a piece, I cut it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to put it on the page, but I ended up turning it into a tab. Now it's time to glue down our stamps and our mermaid. I love this page. I used a lot of scraps. I added a lot of texture. I had a lot of fun creating this one. Now let's get ready for our next day. Day 12 is coming up, and the prompt is packaging. As you can see, I have a paper bag here. I can't even remember where I got it, but I love the texture of it. It's light in color, which I appreciate. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to the page as our base. And I think I want some of this page to show there's some flowers down in the corner. So I'm going to cut this down, well, tear it down to be a little bit of a smaller size. Recently, I purchased a container of paintbrushes, and there's some packaging inside, and it looks pretty cool. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this picture off of the packaging and also the paintbrush, and I'm going to incorporate both of those into this collage. After looking at the colors in that one piece of packaging that I'm going to use, I thought I might like to use these butterflies, so I'm going to end up covering those flowers that I had left exposed. So as you can see, I am inking the edges of this piece. I feel like now I'm formulating an idea of how I want this page to look. And I have this beautiful paper with this writing on it. So I'm going to tear a piece of that off as well and add that to the page. I had recently worked with the butterfly paper and also this paper with the script on it. And again, it's been so nice to use up some of my scraps instead of trying to put them away. This little piece could have easily ended up in my recycling bin, but I think it's perfect if I put it up in the opposite corner of the larger piece. Now the script piece that I tore, there's a lot of white edge there, and actually it doesn't look bad, but I decided I'd like to give it a little bit of a pop. So I'm coloring in the white torn edge with a brown marker. Now I feel like this page is ready to receive this other piece of packaging, which is actually a really pretty picture. And then next to that, I put a picture of a blue door that is surrounded by flowers. You can see I'm going around the edge of the packaging picture with brown marker, but it's actually a bronze marker. It's a metallic pen. I've decided to go around the door as well, just so that the white, you know how some stickers have sort of that white space that goes around it. I don't love that, so I'm going to go around it with the bronze pen. I almost forgot the paintbrush, so I'm using my decorative scissors to cut the end of it so that the brush isn't like flat on the end. Now I'm just deciding where I want to put it on the page. That's the spot it's going to go in, and then this page is done. Once again, I'm really happy with the results of this page and that I was able to use packaging. All right, my friends, this next one, the prompt is light, and this is day 13. I'm starting this page by adding this gorgeous vintage magazine page. I do believe this magazine page is from a 1950s Modern Mechanics magazine or something to that effect. I'm going around the edges of the white paper with some cream colored paint. I've decided also I'd like to try stenciling with the same shade pink. It's probably going to blend into the paper a bit, but I think that's okay. It'll just be a very subtle pattern. As I lift the stencil, and you'll see it in just a second, I can see it. It is subtle, but I really like it. I chose light colored paint because the prompt is light. So now I'm taking this same shade paint and I'm just dipping my finger in it and putting some dots around the page. I'm trying to create, I'm trying to lift the page up a little bit so that there is an appearance of lightness on it. Now you can see that I used a window and I glued that on top of a picture of a beautiful sunset. So I'm cutting it's dry now, so I'm cutting that out so that we basically have this window with the sunset. Now this inspired me and I thought, I want to make it feel like there's sort of beams of light around the window. And so I'm taking my paintbrush and I'm just drawing some lines from the center point out towards the edges. So far, I'm really liking the effect that this is having. Now, let's take our window and we're going to put some glue on the back of that. We're going to glue that onto the page and then I'll decide if we're done or if we think we need to add some more stuff to the page. I've decided to add more, but not a lot, just enough to create some interest. In my magazine, I found those words and it says views like these. I think that's a great addition. And then I have that script paper. I've added some of that to the bottom. And then I have a piece from my vintage map, but it's just nice and plain. So I just tore that out so it'd be sort of jagged. And that's where I'm going to write the date and what the prompt was. Here it is, my friends. I'm really happy with how this turned out. This one's one of my favorites because I really enjoyed getting my paints out and using them. Well, friends, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks for watching. See you soon.